He used beta blocker because somebody told him that will be good for stress control.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So guys, channel membership is now live. Link is in the description and the first comment. Do check it out. That would really help support the channel. So let's start this video with an update from Brandon Carey. Just take a look at those legs, even without any pump. So Brandon Carey isn't messing around for this upcoming Mr. Olympia. So there were some rumors about him doing multiple shows this year other than the Arnold, Ohio. The Masters Olympia specifically was one of them, about which he himself talked about, that he might do that show and win that title, and that could have been a great addition to Brandon Carey's resume, since Brandon has already won literally every single major bodybuilding title that we have in the Pro League. So he has won the Arnold, Ohio twice, and he won the Olympia back in 2019. But him skipping shows like Dubai Pro and Masters Olympia, that simply point out towards one simple fact, that he wants to show up greatly improved and possibly at his all-time best at this year's Mr. Olympia in October. Now, it is very unrealistic to think that Brandon Carey can come back in his 40s and maybe deliver a physique similar to his Arnold 2019 look, which in my opinion was undoubtedly the best physique of his entire career. But that being said, I do believe that he can come in a lot better than the Olympia last year and much improved than what he brought at this past Arnold, Ohio. Now, we know some of these young up-and-coming guys, they want to take a big step and fight for the Olympia top 6 or top 7. But looking at Brandon Carey, it's gonna be very difficult to beat him this time, considering how the man is looking at about 12 weeks out. Now, he did not make the same mistake of starting this year's Olympia prep very late, the way he did last year. And the man right now looks very much ahead in terms of his schedule and right on the money for about 12 weeks out. So let me know what you guys think. How high can Brandon place at the Olympia this year? Can he jump back into that first call out? Next up, we have an update from Rafael Brandao, one of the best from Brazil. Now this recent picture of him standing next to the 212 Pro and the kind of mass that he has right now, that highlights that Rafael has now fully entered the prep mode for the Olympia. So no missed meals, training right on the money and putting the work in day in and day out. So from this point onwards, his foot is gonna be on the gas. And the major point to focus on this time, that will be presenting a bigger and a better package than what we saw from him at the Olympia last year. So he needs more overall thickness and muscularity in order for him to have a shot at the top 6, which I'm sure is the placing that he's expecting and aiming for the Olympia this year. Because even last year, he was quite disappointed on getting top 8 at the Olympia, although that was his highest placing ever. But the aim, that was to crack top 5. But he ended up placing behind William Bonac. So at this point, it is pretty straightforward to think that these guys must be thinking to place top 6 at the very least. So Rafael hasn't been the most consistent IFBB pro when it comes to peaking for all of these shows. Just have a look at his run from last year. He was looking absolutely phenomenal at his first show of the year, which was the Arnold, Ohio. But he barely beat Tonio Burton at the Arnold Brazil a few weeks after that, because he was kinda off for the Arnold Brazil, and that was a controversial win. Now he wasn't 100% at the Olympia either, and his last show Romania Pro, where he beat a very good version of Akeem Williams, Rafael Brandao did brought the conditioning. He was very detailed and he had all his trademark lines. But in doing that, he lost quite a lot of size and a lot of pop and fullness. So his coach Neil Hill and even Brandao himself, they know that his physique from Romania Pro last year, that isn't gonna come anywhere to placing top 6 at the Olympia this year, because the competition this time, that is even more difficult. Because the thing is, we are expecting to see probably one of the most competitive top 10 at the Olympia in the recent past. So if everybody shows up at their 100%, Rafael Brandao is gonna have very tough time placing even in that top 8 one more time. So let's just take a look at the potential top 8 for this upcoming Mr. Olympia. We have Samson Dauda, Hadi Chopin, Derek, Nick, Andrew Jack, Martin Fitzwater, William Bonac, and Brandon Carey. And that right there is your top 8. Then what about guys like Behrouz Tamani, Tonio Burton, Regan Grimes, and so many other guys who all looked so awesome earlier this year? So where do you guys see Brandao placing at the Olympia this year? Next up, we have another 12 weeks out physique update from the reigning Arnold champion, Derek Lunsford, and this one is from today. So Derek is putting up a show for the bodybuilding fans in Brazil, and those striations on his quads, that's giving us a very solid indication and an idea on where the man is at for 12 weeks out of this year's Mr. Olympia. And that right there is a superb condition for 12 weeks out. So he's actually in a great position, and keep in mind, he was criticized and people even gave the verdict that his upper half has gotten so big that he's gonna struggle a lot bringing up his legs to match up to his humongous upper body, especially looking at his Olympia package from last year. And it just took him a few more months to address that issue. And not only did he peak 100% for this year's Arnold Ohio, but he beat a very competitive version of the reigning Olympia champion Samson Dauda. And the top priority going into his next show, that is gonna be maintaining all that leg size, all that volume, and even building up on that. Because if he's able to do that, his X-frame, his V-taper, that is gonna be a lot more pronounced, and he's gonna look even more cartoonish. So Derek also just started his Olympia prep, and he's looking very strong and in a very good body composition during this phase. Now I'm sure his food intake is still very high, because competing in different shows that allowed him to stay more lean than ever before than he usually is during the off-season. Now that being said, his look from this year's Pittsburgh Pro, that obviously won't be good enough to fight for the Olympia title. However, the look from the Arnold Ohio, that is gonna be very competitive. But the biggest question is whether he will be able to bring that same dry and shredded look on the day of the show while maintaining all his pop and fullness, especially on his lower half. Next up, we have an update from Carlos Thomas Jr., who just vanished from the social media after being one of the most hyped up guy leading into this year's Arnold Ohio. So he's finally guest posing this Sunday. So we're gonna get to preview on what the man has been working on since the two shows that he did, the Arnold Ohio and Detroit Pro earlier this year. So he must have been very disappointed with his placings, not just at the Arnold Ohio, but at Detroit Pro too, which did not have that much of a deeper lineup. And for him, not even placing top 6 at that kind of show, that was a clear-cut sign that he needed to go back to the drawing board and make some major improvements. Now in Carlos's case, it wasn't just the media or the fans hyping him up. He himself made some very big claims that he isn't even thinking about placing outside of the top 4 at the Arnold Ohio. And the results, they were total opposite of that. Plus, him parting ways with Patrick Tour just after one show, that was also very questionable. And it did not help him at all at his next show, which was Detroit Pro. So Carlos is gonna have to go through some difficult time building a world-class back, because that isn't one of his genetically strong body parts. Plus, he has a skin texture kind of similar to the likes of Lionel Bayeki, and if you have skin like that, it's kind of difficult to showcase more detail and bring that next level of conditioning. But that being said, looking forward to seeing him at this upcoming guest posing. And this will be his first look since Detroit Pro this year.
He thought it would be a good idea to take beta blockers to regulate cortisol. Beta blockers don't regulate cortisol. Beta blockers regulate your sympathetic nervous system and actually trigger cortisol, especially under stress and under pressure in the body, and then the water comes.
Next up, we have 12 weeks out physique update from Regan Grimes, looking to deliver something very different at his next Olympia appearance, with a new coach this time. And now we know that what became a reason for him and Stefan deciding to part ways after doing 3 shows this year. So Stefan revealed some of the details in the latest episode of the Menace podcast, which mainly highlighted that Regan used something during the peak week in one of the shows which wasn't advised by Stefan, and Regan used that without consulting Stefan at that time. And that kind of explains a bit why Regan was looking very impressive the moment he stepped on the stage for the New York Pro, but he faded like crazy in just a few minutes. So many experts who were there in attendance at that show, they said that they have never seen a physique change so drastically in such a short amount of time.
I have no idea that what was what I found out later. Next show, no beta blocker, no fading of anything, and it was spot on from the beginning to the end.
So no more cytogen, huh?
So Regan has his own strengths and his own weaknesses, and the man is one of the best from the back. But his squats from the front, they need to come up big time, and he needs to add more thickness and density in his chest area. So we will see how it's gonna go for him for this upcoming Mr. Olympia. It seems like he's still finding way to peak 100% on the day of the show, and hopefully he does that and shows up 100% finally for the Olympia, not just at the prejudging, but for the finals too. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.